Welcome, everyone, to the Scaling Smart podcast, where we bring together today's industry leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators to discuss key insights, strategies, and their experiences that have driven success both for themselves and their customers. I'm Billy Mitchell, your host, and today I'm excited to introduce a special guest. Today we have Erick Magnuson, the founder and chief strategy officer of the Marketing Systems Collective, which is a consultancy that helps growing businesses design and implement integrated, data-driven growth systems. Erick, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be a good conversation. As I mentioned before, and as a reminder to our audience, I break these podcasts up into three different sections. Number one, we want to get to know you and your organization. Then we're going to talk about the industry, your ideal client profile. And then finally, the meat and potatoes, what most people are here to learn and see is how you're growing and how you're scaling. And I would say also because of your work, how you're doing that for your customers too. So does that sound like a plan?
Sounds good, yeah.
Excellent. I'd like to start with just kind of getting to know your business. So let's go, if you had a 90-second elevator pitch, what would it be?
So I have a marketing agency, and what I do is I help founders, entrepreneurs, and small business kind of build systems for marketing. So kind of take all the chaos and turn it into a manageable, trackable system.
Excellent.
That's from everything from analytics all the way through content creation, anything that a marketing agency would do for someone. I bring it all in the house, and I'm kind of a CMO. And then we also execute for the client as well with deliverables.
I love that. Yeah, a lot of the work that I've been looking into this year is the systems and operations of marketing departments and growth systems. So I'm excited to learn more. And from looking at your website, obviously AI is a big contributor to the work you're doing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that conversation. It seems like most of my podcasts somehow get into AI. So
it's just asking, right?
yeah, absolutely. It's right in front of us at all times. Well, let's take a step back. Actually, let's get to know you. How'd you get to this starting this business? What's been the growth path of Erick over the last however many years you'd like to go back?
Yeah, so I was in corporate. I kind of exited the corporate world about 5 years ago as a senior vice president of technology, which really was, as a project manager, I ran software development teams, infrastructure, all that kind of stuff. Got out of that and started working with my wife. She's a real estate broker, and so we had a brokerage. I stepped into that. I mean, honestly, I was burned out from the whole tech life, being on the hook all the time. So got into that, and I've always loved marketing. I worked side by side with marketing departments to help them execute their strategy and build their systems. So I did that with our brokerage, and I initially outsourced it, and I was just getting burned by marketing companies who they promise you the world, and then you're working with their guy that just there the first day. By the time you start, the wheels hit the road. So I kind of took that experience and started my own marketing gig, So I started by building websites, doing SEO, kind of working with my sphere of people. And, it's been doing that. I'm about 3 years into that now, and I've learned a lot. And, I'm at the point now where I'm building, basically automated systems to help, me do every aspect of it, via AI. Taking my experience and things I love and building a business and helping other entrepreneurs do it, at a high level, and then bringing it down to actual execution.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and that's one of the things I was going to talk to you about. I noticed on your site how the language you're using is partnership, right? So coming to the table as an extension of their team in that sense, not just a contractor or a vendor or an agency. So I think that's a good way to position yourself. It kind of portrays that you have skin in the game, I think, as a whole.
Yeah, just kind of, I like to lead with, brand voice, ROI, just trying to really figure out, what they're trying to accomplish, what's the end game, and what puts revenue in their pocket. and then setting the whole system up to make that happen, and be able to discuss that with them. They have an issue, they call me, be involved in the strategy. That's what I felt like I was missing when I tried to outsource my marketing. So I'm kind of building on that with my experience, as working with the vendor, and what my expectations were and how they were not met. And, now I'm kind of trying to help people, make that all happen.
Yeah. So with that, if we were to bring you an ideal client, what would that look like? Tell us a little bit about the size of the company, the industries maybe that you serve the best, and what are some of the pain points that they bring to you?
Yeah, so I say, I do e-commerce. That's so I have a couple, pretty high-end clients that are in that arena. Real estate, obviously, given my brokerage past, but really any business owner. I feel like there's a layer that's identical. Outside of strategy, there's kind of a path that you want to take. My ideal client has some knowledge of that. They have revenue, probably in the million annual, to be able to pay for it and not be where it's not going to hamstring them financially, and just kind of, like I said, have an understanding of the process, and have me help them through it. That's my typical best client. So we're able to have those conversations. I'm not speaking another language. When you talk about analytics and you talk about website design and brand voice and all that stuff, they get it, and I kind of help them along that path, because I think when you kind of get into this arena where you have a partner in the marketing world, there's an expense to it that you have to be able to justify and be able to stomach, and it's kind of a slow process, 60 to 90 days for this kind of stuff to start really taking place and showing out on the internet. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you find that your clientele have an established system or process for the marketing and demand generation and that entire system, and then you're coming to the table to help fix that or make it more efficient, or are you kind of really starting from scratch, the whiteboard?
Typically, my client will have kind of I would say kind of a mess of things that they're doing. They have different influences from YouTube or whatever with how they're posting their social media, kind of their strategies. There's not typically a contiguous strategy though, where you're kind of using all the channels correctly. You're using TikTok, you're using Instagram, email campaigns, blog posting, all that kind of stuff, and bringing it all together. I don't typically see that, and I don't typically see analytics applied to it. So they don't really know, outside of just maybe vaguely seeing this post got more views than another post, or there's no end-to-end, especially with e-commerce. I don't see a lot of end-to-end analytics where they know kind of what buttons are getting clicked and what's producing revenue. So, but they understand, they just don't know how to do it because there's so much noise, and I try to bring that, ground all of that, get the noise out of the way, show them what they need to focus on, and then build a system so they have dashboards to be able to, watch all of that and see what's happening from one place.
Yeah, when we are engaging with new customers, oftentimes it feels like they don't necessarily have a source of truth to point to, right? Or
that's well put. Yeah, well said.
Yeah, or the ability to connect those dots throughout their MarTech stack as a whole. So when you are working with customers, I would imagine you kind of have your go-to MarTech, right? Your go-to CRM. I think I saw your HubSpot certified, if I understood or if I read that correctly. What are some of the other tools that you like to introduce to your customers?
So really, and I've arrived at this in the last maybe year or so with AI, but I try to be product agnostic, because really at the end of the day, they all kind of work the same, especially for the purpose of what you need to dashboard and look at. So, we're going to get into this maybe later, is just talking about the AI systems, but you're going to build an API layer that makes it so you're product agnostic. And so what you want to intake into your system, and you just build the API with whatever. If it's HubSpot, if it's Go High Level, Fluent, CRM, whatever, it's all, you're going to kind of pull the same info. So, definitely agnostic on those platforms, but as far as tools that I'm using right now, I'm a huge WordPress fan, WooCommerce, because they're so malleable. You can do pretty much whatever a person wants, a client wants with it. I'm really into anti-gravity right now as far as my programming stack goes, from Cursor. And then, gosh, there's just so many products out there right now. I wouldn't even want to say one right now because I'm leveraging so many different ones, from note takers in Zoom, Recall, just there's so many products out there right now. I kind of like to more talk conceptually because I feel I'm afraid to lean into a product because it might go away or something's just going to kill it. That's so much better that comes out tomorrow, so I really try to stay on top of just what my process is.
Yeah.
And not try to make a product work for me. I want, I want to know what I need and see if it kind of fits into that and if I can scale into it without breaking my systems.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach. Also, because it ensures that the customer's first, right? So what's best for the customer? You're not trying to sell a product that you like, but you're selling the product that is best for the customer. Which I think
that's my whole career. I'm process before technology. Like don't come to me with a web page and then try to build your whole system from that. Let's talk about what you're trying to do and kind of ground it and then build up from that so you kind of have a foundation.
That's good.
Works.
Yeah, well, that's good. I think that's a really good foundation for your company, who you're serving. As far as the industry as a whole, I'm going to ask you maybe a multi-part question just to get the conversation going. Is your industry competitive? What are some of the competitors doing that, maybe you're differentiating yourself from? And then kind of the big question, and I used to say, what's the industry going to look like in 5 to 10 years? I feel like I have to say, what's the industry going to look like next month now? What's the future of this industry? And maybe that's a good time to get into the AI part of our conversation.
Yeah, I think we're looking at the future. I don't think anybody knows. It's really shaking out. Like what I feel like month to month, my process changes because of what I see. You just have to be out in front of it, and I think experience is going to be the differentiator. Because I've kind of been through some cycles, of technology, and one thing I know for sure is lean into it. Don't put your head in the sand. Lean into it, embrace it, and just kind of see where it takes you. I've always successfully transitioned major shakeups, but this shakeup's different. This is just entering. This is replacing people. I'm not using VAs. I'm using, technology now. And just kind of staying on top of how that all works, and the developments that improved. So like I just said, I went from Cursor to anti-gravity. Cursor's great. It does everything I need, but anti-gravity thinks. And that's just been such a step up, like it troubleshoots. You see it launching consoles and fixing things and coming back. And that would have taken me 3 hours in Cursor. Now it takes me 20 minutes and it's just off to the side. That's how rapidly things are changing. Like how can I be sure of myself that I'm not going to change tomorrow? But conceptually, like systems, you have to be aware of your systems and start to and continually learn as to how you can improve those and the processes. So you're networking with people, seeing what everyone's doing, and just trying to stay grounded and not chase too many flashy objects. I kind of ran off there. Hopefully I'm answering your question.
No, it's good.
I almost do it. Oh my gosh.
No, it's good. It always opens up a very interesting conversation. And honestly, I find people on either one of the spectrums here. So I'm going to ask you a question to lead us there too. Are you somebody who thinks that AI is going to take over the world? Or do you think this is maybe a new industry, a change in path, but the reality is we'll still need you and I at the end of the day?
Yeah, that's a good. I honestly, is it going to take over the world? In a way, I think yes. It's going to really change things. As far as one thing I'm realizing is I'm in the mix, right? So everything I look at has to do with AI and things people are doing with AI. But if I can take a step back and talk to my wife, she has no idea. right? So they're not leveraging this stuff. They don't know. They're not building agents. So I don't know how much the world's going to be impacted. I don't know. I have a couple of trains of thought on that. One of them is you look back, like, look when the automobile came into play. People were riding horses for thousands of years, and now all of a sudden there's cars, and all the jobs and everything that came with horses went away, but somehow everyone kept going. Like
Right.
the horse people did something else, right? And there's a transition to that. You just have to kind of stay out in front of it. So there's that, and then there's the fact that I think AI is taking like, I'm not hiring VAs like I used to do little side gigs, because I got my agents are doing it, my agentic systems are doing it. So I guess that kind of speaks to the horse thing. They're gonna figure something else out. I don't know if it's gonna take over. I think I think creativity, I think transparency and all that kind of stuff is gonna still win with how you put yourself out there, how you show up as a brand. I don't know if that's going to be automated ever. There's people that are going to always rise to the top, and I think that's it. Creativity and transparency, I think, are going to always win over robots.
Yeah, I think the way that I think about it is funny. You mentioned the cars. I like to think about the assembly line as well in Industrial Revolution, where when automation takes over, I think what it does is it forces us as humans, as people, to step up and say, okay, where do I fit, and what's the next level that it can't do that only I can do? And I think creativity, I think the ability to have this type of a conversation and new and creative ideas form because of that, I think is a long way away on that AI side of things. And
I agree. Yeah.
Right now, AI is just a regurgitation of all the information on the internet, which is a lot, and that's incredible. But still, to this day, you can read something and go, "That's probably AI," right? But when
you start to pick it up.
Yeah, when it's a human, it's like, I think they actually wrote that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. And my hope, my goal as we grow our company is to make things more efficient. And to really free up the team to use that intelligence that they have. So,
yeah, exactly. It's just a really good toolkit, right?
Yeah. So now, kind of getting into the heart of the Scaling Smart podcast and growth and scale. Obviously, we're both marketers, so I think we have unique perspectives on this, but how are you growing your company? What's worked? Maybe what's not worked? And if you want, what are some of the commonalities that you're seeing among your customers and growth tactics that you're applying there that have been successful?
So the way I'm scaling is through AI. I'm in a pretty good networking group of creative agency owners, and I think that's kind of the commonality there. Everyone's kind of leaning into how to leverage AI correctly, how to prompt it so it's doing what you need, getting away from hallucinations and all that kind of stuff. But that's really where I'm leaning in, working with clients, taking things that used to take me 2 hours. Like this morning, I did something in 15 minutes that I used to take me probably, 2.5 hours with the content creation and strategy behind it and all that kind of stuff. So just kind of identifying those and then as far as bringing that to clients, my path is always systems, right? So you're always going to be talking, how are we going to do this? What's your message? How do we convey that in SEO and AEO and get LLMs to start finding you? That's a big change everyone's concerned with now. And to me, it's plain as day how to do it. So just kind of bringing systems into that to help them do it and then prove it through analytics. And then everything else, from content calendars to content creation based on the content calendar, newsletters, long form video, kind of all those strategies in play, and AI supports, 70% of it probably. It's not often you have to go back and even edit pictures anymore for blog posts, because Nano Banana is so freaking good. Once you get it dialed in and kicking out what you need, you almost don't have to look at it. So that, I think, that's kind of the common thread I see though. Business owners they're like, how the heck am I going to show up now that, Google is getting crushed with, or Google's just giving answers. It's not linking anybody. And, just kind of that fear, what's going to happen to their ad campaigns and all that kind of stuff. And, just kind of helping them navigate that and then building systems where I can remain a freelancer, really, a solopreneur without that much help and still be highly effective, like I have a 5-man person team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And allows you to still have fun in that. I think the way that you position yourself in that is obviously the industry is going to grow and change, but if you're a couple chapters ahead of your customer, you're always going to be able to be a needed resource in that. You mentioned networking groups and other creative agencies. Personally, we found incredible success growing our company through partnerships and finding strategic ways to support each other. How much of that are you implementing for your own growth?
Yeah, that's always been that's just imperative to be networking with peers, right? So I'm in a group, that I work with. That's all agency owners. It's a paid, group that I'm in, and we meet all the time. There's Slack channels, that kind of stuff. That is probably the best investment that I would recommend anybody do. Don't try to do this by yourself. Put a percentage of your revenue into that self-education, and it pays back. Like I've doubled what I've put into it just based on the connections that I have from those types of groups.
I think that's
and the knowledge that it builds too it's so much faster.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And some of the best things that my company has experienced has come through those partnerships. And my own learnings too, like you noted, is both the good and the bad, right? Failing, as long as you're failing forward, that's a good lesson. And we've done plenty of that. But, yeah. Well, I think that's a really good spot to kind of land the plane here. And I've really appreciated the conversation and where you are and where you've come from. I didn't prep you for this, but I like to end every podcast with a bit of a lightning round. I'm just going to ask you a couple questions. It's meant to be fun, laid back, and just say basically the first thing or first idea that comes to your mind. Sound good?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
What's one tool or system you rely on to keep your organization running smoothly that's not chat?
Notion.
All right. Oh, I like that. What's your favorite book, podcast, or resource that's influenced your business growth?
Oh, gosh. I really enjoy Neil Patel.
Yeah. He's so wealth of
solid.
knowledge. And
Neil Patel and Gary Vee, I would think, are my two main YouTube influencers that I try to think like.
That's good. All right. What's one bucket list item you've already checked off?
A profitable agency.
That's good. Always fun to have a profitable one. It's not as fun when you're losing money. What's one goal you're still working on?
Just scaling. Trying to figure out how to break that ceiling that I'm at.
Yeah, always growing, always pushing the limits. I love it. Finally, Eric, if our listeners want to get a hold of you, what's one of the best ways to get in contact?
Yeah, just hit me up on my website, themarketingsystemscollective.com, or Erick at erickmagnuson.com is my email address, and that's ERICK. Either way, yeah, I'd love to hear from anybody and continue these sort of discussion.
I love it. Well, I appreciate that, and for everybody else, this is a wrap of this episode of Scaling Smart. I'm your host, Billy Mitchell, and I want to thank you for tuning in, where we have conversations with real people, with real stories, who have learned how to scale smart.